It's a beautiful winter's day, and I thought today would be a good time to plant some potatoes. So I've left these on the window of the bus for a week, and that means that it's just to help this. So I think those are called chits when the potatoes start sprouting. This is not a great example because there only appears to be one on this one so far, but on many of them, you see on that, you've got quite a few of them. So when you get a potato like that, these are seed potatoes, you can chop them in half or quarters or whatever and get as many of those seeds going, because each one because each one of those sprouts will become a plant. I'm going to leave these out for a few days just to let that kind of harden off a bit, and then I'll put it in the ground. Just less chance of rot that way. It's the middle of winter here in the southern hemisphere. We've just passed the shortest day, and I'm planting some potatoes, and I've asked around. Some people say you can't do it, and some people say you can. I think you probably can, because potatoes will survive a slight frost, and we don't get particularly cold winters here, so I think they'll be fine. But just in case I'm wrong, I'm saving half of them back. So I'm going down about 6 inches, which is 150 mil, which is the full kind of depth of the compost. I'm basically going all the way to the cardboard and just putting that in at the bottom. I'm planting these with the sprout part of it facing up. So in terms of spacing, I'm spacing these out at 300 mils or 1 foot from each other. That's actually quite close together for potatoes, but these are first earlies or new potatoes, so they tend to be pretty small. So I think they'll be fine with that. Just giving these a bit of a tidy up. It's funny, you can really see the difference with these, like which ones have been eaten by a slug or something and which ones have been eaten by a bird. The ones that have been eaten by a bird, birds tend to just hack, and so you'll get a sort of a peck right in the middle of a leaf, whereas slugs, they start at the edge and they just gradually eat their way in, and they eat everything in their sight. Little brutes. This is kale, and we've got some Brussels sprouts here, so they're starting to come along. But I mean, I might net these off, I suppose, to stop the birds, but yeah, for now, I don't know, I find netting quite a pain, really, just to put that out, so I may just leave it. We'll see. These are something that are doing really well. These are spring onions. We planted those like multi-sown together. There's about sort of 6 to 8 seeds in each little pod, put them in the ground, and yeah, they're doing really well. Once one of them gets big, we'll pull that one out, and it gives a bit more space to the rest. Although that's what you do in England, you pull them out when they're ready, but I know in New Zealand quite often people just cut them at the base, and then they can use them as a kind of perennial. I guess that means you're eating more green than white, but I'm sure it will taste good, so maybe I'll try that instead. These broad beans, obviously, they're doing pretty well as well, and the celery's doing much better than expected. I've never grown it before, so yeah, I have to keep going with that. My plan with these potatoes was to hold them back a bit and stagger them, but despite being in the dark in the container, they're actually they're kind of sprouting anyway, so I thought maybe it's a good idea just to put them in the ground. One of the things I always found slightly confusing about potatoes was the different types, you know, like first early, second early, main crop. I never knew what all of that meant, but it's actually not that confusing. It's just how long it takes for the potato to get to maturity. These are rocket, which are a really fast growing variety. So these are first earlies, and they take, I think it's like 60 to 70 days. That's like incredibly fast. So, well, hence the name rocket, I guess. So we'll see. We should have, in theory, we should have potatoes in a couple of months. In terms of spacing, I'm doing these all at about sort of that, which is, I don't know, 6 inches, 15 centimetres, that kind of thing. I don't go down too far. Probably just, I don't know, 2 or 3 inches into the soil. I don't need to be too deep. I'm actually a bit late to the party with these. In this part of the world, you're meant to plant garlic on the shortest day of the year. And we'll pass that, but we'll be all right. Depends where you live, though. In England, I used to plant these in October, November, that kind of thing. So you're getting in before the sort of, you know, the cold frost set in. And that gives it time to grow. But here we don't really struggle with that. So this time of year is probably okay. Interestingly, I always just used to plant like supermarket garlic in England. Never had a problem with it. And then I read that in New Zealand, people say that some of these cloves that are from the supermarket, that if they're from New Zealand, they'll fine, they'll grow. But if they've been imported, there's some kind of heat treatment that goes on in order to stop, and that stops them sprouting. I don't know whether that's elsewhere in the world, but worth looking at. But so these, just so I know that they're not supermarket garlic, I actually got them from a local grower, so I know that they're sort of locally grown, organic and all that sort of stuff. So they're not going to have been treated, so they definitely will sprout. Well, I don't know about definitely, but they should sprout. And this one there. This is elephant garlic. I've never grown it before. If you've grown it or eaten it, let me know. I don't know much about it. I have heard that it handles rust better than normal garlic. But is this just one bulb? What's this got, like 4 cloves on it? Yeah, 1 whole bulb, 4 cloves. I guess they'd be good for roasting. No idea. Let's have a look. I'll give these a bit more room, I guess. They can grow really big, these things, so space them out a bit more. What have we got? Just 4. Let me put one in there. I'm guessing they go down a bit deeper since they're a bit bigger. But yeah, if you know, tell me in the comments, because I don't know. Looks like the rain's just started to come. I think I'll leave it there for this week. Good time to say goodbye. Thanks so much for watching. See you next week.